hard to find words to describe the rise of Andy Murray over the past year, from US Open Junior champion to his first ATP Tour final and a head-to-head meeting with the best in the business. Live from the Impact Arena for the final of the Thailand Open, and defending champion Roger Federer versus Scotland Andy Murray. Hello again. If somebody asked you 2 months ago if Andy Murray had the quality to make a tour final, you would have said yes, but maybe not this quickly. Not even Murray in a hurry could have thought it would be this week, having arrived late and jet-lagged from Switzerland, but to be facing Roger Federer in that final just makes it all the more special for the 18-year-old Scot. Murray's rise up the rankings this year has seen him jump 272 places in 6 months. He made his tour debut in April in Barcelona. From there, third round appearances at Queen's Club and Wimbledon set British pulses racing. After Wimbledon, straight to the North American hard court season. Murray's first professional title came on the challenger scene at Aptos and Binghamton. And after a second round performance at the US Open, his ranking was around about 109. Now this week, Murray faced George Vassell in round 1, straight sets there. Then Robin Soderling, the number 5 seed, in round 2. A couple of tiebreakers there for Murray, into the world top 100 for the first time, and into his first tour quarter-final to face the number 3 seed Robbie Ginepri. Semi-finalist at the US Open this year, Ginepri. Murray in 3 sets.
Yeah, better match Murray. This is 2-1, 4-6, 6-4, 6-3.
So from his first tour quarter-final to his first tour semi-final, and a meeting with Thailand's sporting god, Paradol Chapang. Having dropped the first set on the tiebreak, Murray stormed back in the final set in particular to take it 6-2, and was really looking forward to facing Federer in the final.
Hopefully I'll get off to a good start tomorrow, but I said when I won yesterday to play against Federer, the best player in the world, possibly one of the greatest ever, and your first ATP final when you're only 18, it's like the dream come true, and I just need to go out and try and concentrate at the start and get a few games under my belt, and then I can really go for it.
Now Federer hasn't dropped a set all week. Yesterday, Jarko Nieminen in straight, 6-3, 6-4. Federer searching for his 24th consecutive final win. Barry Cowan joins me in the studio. Barry, everything says Roger Federer today. All the stats point to a comfortable victory. But as Andy said just a moment ago, if he gets off to a good start, anything's possible.
Yeah, Andy was sort of referring to the, try and get first 4 games under his belt and then really go for it. I think he needs to go for it from ball 1. He needs to make a statement early, be aggressive. Because if you sit back against Federer, Federer will pick you apart, as he's been able to do when he's played Hewitt and alike this year.
Here comes Murray, the long walk down from the top of the stadium. This week Murray's not being plugged into his iPod with a bit of Black Eyed Peas. Looking very composed. So I'm sure a touch nervous, a big occasion for Murray, just 18 years of age. His first ever tour final, and he's facing this man, arguably the best player that's ever played the game. 23 consecutive final wins for Roger Federer. It's an Open era record, 6 of those Grand Slam finals. Currently on a 30-match winning streak. Undoubtedly the out-and-out world number 1 right now, but hasn't faced Andy Murray. At times, this is where Federer has struggled, when he doesn't know what his opponent possesses. He's lost just 3 times this year, 2 of them to teenagers, Rafael Nadal and Richard Gasquet. He didn't know either of those games particularly well, and he won't know Murray's game today.
I just get a feeling, Chris, that Federer's got an eye on the future. And Federer knows, as we all do, that Andrew Murray is going to be a great tennis player. And I think Federer's going to come out and try and stamp his authority and try and have a comfortable win, because he knows he could play Andy Murray in a couple of years in a Grand Slam final. Who knows? I mean, the rapid rise of the Scot is phenomenal. So I think certainly for Roger, he'll come out with a real purpose. And I think it's important for Andy that he sticks to his game. That's what's been so refreshing when we've watched him this year. is he's concentrated on what he does well, and that's a sign of a great tennis player.
Has to serve well today, Andy Murray. If he doesn't get a high percentage of first serves in, then I think Federer will make short work of the second.
It's the case, really, when you're playing someone like Roger, because if Federer is the greatest tennis player, and he's the greatest tennis player because he defends so well, and also it's because when he gets that first strike in, it's devastating, whether it be on the backhand or the forehand side. So I think for Andy, he needs to take risks. Yeah, he might as well go out all guns blazing.
The two-handed backhand in particular on the return has been impressive this week from Murray. Has been taking the second serves on of his opponents. Can he do that today against Federer and stop it down the line for Federer's backhand?
I think he can, Chris. It's certainly an area that Safin troubled Federer in the Australian Open. And I think it's just important that for Andy that, as I was saying, he has to take risks. For me, it's better to have a go, and if he misses it by a couple of feet, just keep being persistent, because there's no point knocking the ball back in court, as Neiman did at times yesterday. In fact, Neiman in a break point in the second set just got the ball back in court and hoped Federer missed. And as we know, Chris, Federer does not miss.
With the respect that Murray has to Federer after they played in the Davis Cup doubles just a week ago, Murray tapped Federer on the shoulder and said it's an honour being on the same court as you, an honour to play against you. Could that get in the way of a performance from Murray today?
Obviously, yes. I think that's always the case. But I think certainly for Federer, it's about Roger take care of himself, and I think he knows that this sort of Murray's rapid rise at the rankings has been phenomenal. I think Federer will look to try and exploit these certain areas in Murray's game that sort of we have seen at times this year, in terms of he likes to use that slice backhand, and if he doesn't knock that slice backhand deep, Federer will be able to use his forehand, which of course is the best shot in the men's game.
As you said, right now, Roger Federer, the world's best by a country mile, really. Nobody has really consistently troubled him this year. Matt Safin, of course, defeating him in the semi-finals of the Australian Open this year. Federer had a match point there, as he did against Richard Gasquet in Monte Carlo. The semi-finals of the French to Rafael Nadal, the only 3 matches that Federer has lost this year. In fact, Federer has only lost 3 matches since the US Open last year. He's been that consistent on the men's tour. He's on a 30-match winning streak, the longest since Thomas Muster back in 1995, when Muster won 35 on the bounce. But every winning streak has to come to an end, and at times it can come from the most unlikely of sources. Could Andy Murray be that source today? It's possible. Champions race for 2005, Federer way ahead. Both Federer and Nadal and Marat Safin have already qualified for the Masters Cup, which you can see here later on this year on Sky Sports. You think that Roddick and Stewart will be there. Andre Agassi has been plagued by his back and hip all year. He's pulled out of Stockholm in a week's time, so Agassi a question mark whether we'll see him again this year. Certainly the race to the Masters Cup final in Shanghai looking pretty decent indeed. So here we are then. I didn't think I'd say this for a while. I thought one day I might say it, but Roger Federer against Andy Murray. Can Murray bring Federer's stunning record of consecutive final wins to an end? We'll find out in the company of our commentary team, Sam Smith, but first, Peter Fleming.
Thank you, Chris. Yes, this is an event that I'm sure every British tennis fan hoped one day would come along, but I have a feeling no one anticipated it happening this quickly. Andy Murray, 18 years of age, without question, a very, very top prospect. I heard one or two people terming this match as a David versus Goliath matchup, and I don't see it that way. I see it almost as a Goliath versus young Goliath. Let's see if that's the way it turns out. Andy Murray giving every impression that he is a big star in the making. Sam, how do you see this match panning out?
Well, I think both these men are on a journey. I think certainly Federer's on a journey to greatness, and Murray's on the start of his journey to find out just how good he's going to be. I feel Andy has a good game. against Federer. Certainly a guy that's troubled Federer this year, Nicholas Kiefer, can do many of the things that Andy Murray can do. He's very versatile. He can slice, he can serve and volley, and he can come into the net. So I think it's not a bad matchup for Andy. I think certainly he's got to be aware that his second serve is going to be attacked more ruthlessly than it's ever been attacked. I think he has to be careful when he hits that slice down the line, when he opens up the court to Federer, because Federer can get around that ball and do so much damage. And I think we'll see Roger Federer really trying to not let Andy Murray settle early, which is what I think Andy intends to try and do out here.
Time. Ladies and gentlemen, this final round match will be the best of 3 tiebreak sets. Andrew Murray won the toss, and he chooses to receive.
Lars Graf in the chair. Interesting. Murray choosing to receive, perhaps give himself one game to allow his nerves to settle before he must defend his own delivery.
First set, Roger Federer to serve. Ready, play.
Interesting. Murray perhaps reading from Barry Cowan's hymn sheet. That was a rocket.
So important out here today that every ball has a purpose from Murray.
Federer holds relatively easily. Now, I'm not sure if Andy Murray needs to be quite as frenetic as he appears in this first game. Of course, it's natural that he would be nervous. But I think that Federer will allow him to play, allow him to get into a groove, because Federer likes that same groove.
Andrew Murray.
Find a rhythm.
So many players when they've come across Federer for the first time. Interesting Petri, his coach, Murray's coach there, have said how difficult it is to deal with the Federer ball, that he's put some sort of spin on it that they find hard to control. I think Andy playing against Federer in the Davis Cup, in the doubles, would have just given him a little insight.
Well, Judy Murray, Andy's mom, said one thing, well, I wasn't the greatest player, but one thing I did was I allowed my opponents to beat themselves. And that's something that Andy's grown up with. And not something that he wants to lose at any point, even now. Let's find out how good this guy Federer really is. First hand.
Yeah, I just think having that experience that he shared even a doubles court with Federer, having had a chance to return his serve. Just gives Andy a little heads up out here.
Serve that Murray has used effectively all week. Second serve slider out wide.
Well, Andy didn't have too many options with that approach. Probably couldn't have hit it much better. Maybe could have knocked it a little flatter because it did sit up. May need an extra foot of length. Federer just doing really well early on.
Advantage, Murray.
Unlucky. That point, a great example of don't go into the Federer forehand unless you can hurt him.
Federer.
Roger Federer out to an early break
Federer leads 2 games to love.
in this Bangkok final. And not really the way he wanted to start to settle his nerves. 2 double faults from deuce.
Well, I did feel that even though he was broken there, Murray did a good job. He didn't make too many first serves, but his second serves were deep and penetrating, and surely those double faults came because of who is standing on the other side of the net. And for Andy Murray out here, being on the same court as Roger Federer, it just raises the bar for everything he has got to try and do.
too good. Federer, in rampant mood, he leads 3-love. Murray, after squandering a couple of game points in his last service game, he didn't get on the board.
16
Well, at least Murray was competitive in his previous service game, and he is up against a man who really likes to have teenagers for breakfast. And because Murray can deliver such variety in his shot making, that's why Federer is paying him the respect he deserves out here. Federer really has come out totally focused on the job in hand.
That's interesting, Sam. In Federer's quotes after his semifinal yesterday against Neiman, and he said, well, I played well, everything was working well, I served well, I feel real good about it. And I thought, did I watch that same match? He sleepwalked.
I must have been with you, Peter, because I didn't see that.
Yeah, he played quite poorly, but certainly in far different mood today against Murray. Murray takes his turn to hold serve to love.
Federer leads 3-1.
He's on the board.
And that's an excellent game from Murray. Not a bad idea to bring Federer in if he possibly can. He's got to do it the right way, but it's certainly an option that Murray has.
On the baseline. Murray's not so sure. He was on that ball like a rash.
Well, it's not just getting up to the drop shot. He sees it actually a little bit late, but he covers the ground so well. And he's so calm when he gets there, sees Federer's position, and finds some open court. And I agree with you, Peter. Federer, just a different animal out here today. Does he get a thrill from beating Neiman for the 7th time in a row? I don't think so. Is he looking forward and is he excited about playing Murray? I think so very much.
Yeah, because there are very few players that actually even believe that they might be able to challenge this man. And very few players that come out to compete. But he knows deep down that Andy Murray is one of them.
Well, unlike a Roddick or a Hewitt, Murray doesn't have the baggage of being put to the sword by Federer. It's all a new experience.
40-30.
Wow, we don't see wild forehands like that very often. Overruled by Lars Graf. Federer overcomes a couple of errors, still up a break.
Federer leads.
When the rankings come out tomorrow, Andy Murray will be ranked around number 68 in the world. Opening up the court beautifully.
Well, Andy being treated to the full Federer repertoire. I have to say, I didn't expect Federer to start opening up Murray so much to the backhand. I thought it would come more to the forehand.
In this situation, I think Murray can't be afraid to lose one in love. Just play each ball on its own merit. Don't worry about the cumulative effect.
15-13.
This match is all about learning what Roger Federer has, what he brings to the table, feeling it for yourself rather than watching it, and then learning how to deal with it.
There's also nothing like playing against the very best to really understand what you need to do with your game. And from a coaching perspective, Petchy sitting on the side of the court, he will get so much out of this match, seeing where Andy's progress needs to come over the next 6 months. On that form, I don't think they were doing too much work on the first serve.
208 kilometers per hour. That's 130 miles an hour.
Well, that's what he has to do. He has to go for lines that forehand set up a little bit for him.
Yeah, but I think Murray, perhaps a victim of his own fear of Federer, thanks to just a little too much in those last two situations.
Yes, it's a really fine line to tread because, as the studio was saying beforehand, he can't afford just really to put the ball back in court and play safe out here. But understandably, Federer has earned that aura that it is like playing two men on the other side of the court, and very hard to know where to put the ball.
Oh, look at that. From the forehand slice approach to the drop volley. Incredible feel.
Well, it's so good to see a young player expressing himself like this on the big stage, and Murray doing a good job of defending these break points. Faced 6 against Xi Japan, defended 5 of them. So doing well behind his serve.
Advantage, Murray.
Once again, overhitting. Piece number 4.
But they're just getting the mix right, and he's just giving himself a little bit of aggro. And what I've liked in this tournament is he's been fiery. He's given himself a hard time when he hasn't got things right, but he's put it behind him very quickly and moved on.
There we go. And Murray perhaps summoning the crowd to his aid.
Federer leads 4 games to 2.
Important that Murray maintains his perspective. As I was saying before, he'll be ranked 68 tomorrow if he loses this match. At the very same age, Federer was ranked 64 in the world. So Andy Murray, well on course to being able to achieve just about anything he wants to do in tennis. You need to remember that he's not playing some guy from outer space. He's playing himself 6 years from now, perhaps. The more he can stay in his comfort zone, the quicker he'll grow.
Murray doing a good job of keeping his length, not giving Federer too much to attack, and making the world #1 play an awful lot of balls out here.
And one of the very few people I've ever seen try to slice to Federer's forehand.
Advantage, Federer.
He's just not getting a good enough purchase on that backhand pass.
Again, you feel Murray has come on court really well prepared against Federer. As you said, Peter, really only trying to go to that forehand of Federer as big as he possibly can with his own forehand. Not letting too much set up on that forehand wing.
At 6'2", Andy Murray moves around the court as well as just about anyone.
Well, he reads the game so well. Federer, not too many options with that approach. Short backswing, good balance from Murray. Once again, puts the ball in all the right places.
Called wide. See, the linesman.
Advantage, Murray.
Ooh. The linesman stuck his hands down, signifying good, then stuck his arm out. But perhaps he didn't make a call.
Linesman made a call. Advantage, Federer.
Yeah. Federer heard the linesman call, and he wasn't going to let that one go.
Game, Federer.
After a bit of a scare, Federer holds. Still up a break.
New ball, please.
Showing a replay of that controversial deuce point in the last game. The one's been called very quietly. The umpire didn't hear it, but the change is made. Murray now with the new ball.
Murray did so far in this first set has done a good job of actually not allowing Federer to attack the second serve too much. That's the first one Federer's really got onto.
Interesting. Federer moved out as if to intimidate. He didn't go for everything. No problem.
And maybe the slight altercation in the previous game at Juice has just riled Murray up a little bit. He forced a little more tennis out of him.
Game, Murray.
Well, he's a natural pugilist. No question about that. Anytime
Federer leads
he
by
gets
game.
riled, it does seem to improve him, at least to a point. He's well within those bounds today.
Last two Federer service games, Murray has taken him to deuce both times, so Murray has been competitive. And Federer not getting things all his own way out here. Well, he very nearly toyed with Raj. That lob just not deep enough.
30-15.
Second serve that did the damage there, right on the center line.
14-15.
2 set points. Once again, Murray up to the drop shot in a hurry.
Good disguise from Federer off that backhand side. Murray is not only quick, he reads the game, he sees it so early and looks to do something with the ball when he gets there.
Federer rides the early break and takes the first set 6-3.
Time.
Murray has to start off the second set. He will have to take some heart from how that first set panned out. He is in most every game with Federer.
Second set. Murray to serve.
Now start on level terms.
Lovely thing. Love 13.
So important that Murray get into this set so he's competitive.
Nice change up there from Murray. Sometimes when he serves and volleys, I think he gets a better rhythm on his serve. Certainly his first serve percentage in that first set did hurt him. Down at 41%.
Yeah, that really was the only difference, making Federer at 60%.
Team 14, ladies and gentlemen, courtesy to both players, please do not use flash photography. Thank you.
Well, 3 unforced errors in that game. A knife through Murray's heart.
Second set.
So important that he actually makes Federer beat him.
Well, I'm sure that's what he intends to try and do out here, just having a little dip there, Murray. But some of that surely has to be the intense pressure that Federer just puts on you just by being on the other side of the net. He demands that you hit great shots, and that can be pretty exhausting for his opponents.
I think today, Sam, the more intimidating factor is what Federer represents rather than what he's actually done today. Because he has made errors, he hasn't been dominant from the back of the court, and yet, probably in Murray's head, he thinks that that's what will happen.
Well, if you consider that Andy Murray was just 15 when Federer was winning his first Wimbledon, yeah, he must have seemed like a god to Murray at 15. And we just shouldn't forget, Murray came here as a wild card, pretty jet lagged from the Davis Cup in Switzerland, like outside the top 100, in just his 4th or 5th month as a senior pro. Murray may be down in the score, but he's doing some good things out here on court.
He's certainly sending a message to Federer. You and I are going to have some fun together in the future.
Federer. love.
Just not able to get onto that volley.
Murray playing the 52nd senior match of this year.
And that's a lot of matches when you consider his year really didn't start in earnest till about April or May. Had a few problems with injuries back in January, February. Murray on the board in this second set, but he's down a break.
Federer leads 2 games to 1.
Roger Federer has not yet faced a break point on serve. If that continues, he will roll on to his 24th consecutive victory in a final. Previous record was jointly held by Bjorn Borg and John McEnroe at 12.
15-11.
So Peter, Roger, just making sure that no one takes that record for a while. Well, Murray's done a decent job when Federer's come up to the net, either by his own volition or being drawn in here, looking to come forward. Murray's picked him off pretty nicely and forced him at least to play a volley.
3 games to 1.
Seems to have lost his equilibrium slightly here in the second set. He needs to regain it quickly.
So often we've seen this tournament and survival is at stake for Murray. He likes to change things up. He likes to choose some other options that he has in his game. Served him pretty well so far.
Double fault number 3. Well, that's the play that Murray cannot afford to employ, just coolly rallying down the middle.
But to his credit, and maybe Murray is just slightly tired mentally out here, he hasn't given Roger too many of those options in this match so far.
Well played.
And immediately Murray just putting a little more juice on the ball, just a little closer to the baseline, not allowing Federer to shape up those big forehands. That's right now, just seems to have gone a little flat from both men. Both just making a few errors.
Andy Murray stays up a break point and remains in touch, but still down a set and a break. Federer has not yet faced a break point in this match, and for Andy Murray, that is the only task. Can you break this man's serve?
Well, for this year, 2005, Roger Federer has won 90% of all the service games he's played. So it's something that many players have struggled to do against this man. Down in his last couple of matches. This kind of situation is set down, not completely on terms in the second set. How well he stuck to his task, never really gone away, never allowed himself to think that it might be all over.
Oh, look at that. The point of the match.
And just when we thought Murray might be mentally tying, again, he always comes up with something.
15-40. Please.
Defends as well as anyone, but not that time. He's done it. First time this match, Andy Murray breaks serve, and he's back level in this second set.
Three-game call.
Federer's work rate seems to have gone up another notch, and I know you like to think of Federer as a sleeping giant. Do you think that might have woken the sleeping giant?
Perhaps. Well, no, actually, Sam. I think he was awake already. You know, yesterday he was a sleeping giant. He was sound asleep. Not today. He's been there. So there won't be any major change. It's more important for Murray to hold this game. See how Federer reacts. Oh, that's cool.
Murray just hanging on the point, but once again, make sure to Federer hit a pretty difficult ball below the height of the net. Still required this ball a lot of work, particularly if he has any designs on breaking Murray straight back.
Defends beautifully, and he is in the lead for the first time.
Murray leads.
Andy Murray, really from the depth, has resurrected his chances, and we're on serve in this second set. New ball.
Two very well placed serves from Federer. Just occasionally on that forehand he gets the contact a little late. Weight tends to go backwards. These are just tiny things in his game to work on.
Federer rights the ship. That love service hold. Now down to the nitty-gritty. superb low volley right onto the baseline.
It was a superb second serve from Murray, but Federer clearly making up his mind to attack it, and Murray forcing great tennis out of the world number one.
That's a big second serve. He's shown all week that he's not afraid to take chances in big situations. Fortuitous net cord for Federer.
Federer just doing enough with that forehand volley, but once again Murray working the Swiss man, not allowing him an easy ride out here at all. Federer nearly pulled a rabbit out of his hat there. But Murray's showing that his learning curve in this match is vertical. We've seen him sometimes on that ball play down the line, open the court out to Federer's forehand and lose the point there. Just taking a different route to win the point. Federer right now is not playing dominating tennis, he's playing steady tennis to try and draw the errors out of Murray.
And it's something that needs to be remembered, that Roger Federer doesn't always wear his Superman's cape. He can be mortal.
Advantage Murray.
Ace number 6 for Murray, a timely 6th ace.
saves a couple of break points. He's in the lead. Roger Federer now serving to try and stay in this second set. Bites at the cherry can get the job done for Murray.
And he just got himself a long way back there in that point. Just made it hard for him. Overall in this match, he stayed pretty tight to the baseline.
And it was a relatively simple pass, but Murray has seen this look so seldom today.
And it was a frustrating game for Murray because when he held at 5-4 for the first time in this match, he was possibly able to impose just a little bit of scoreboard pressure on Federer. And that's almost been cancelled out right here.
Federer and Japan. Wish I were out there. Of nude volleys from Murray spelled his doom here.
Murray has already passed really one milestone in this match, breaking Roger Federer, the great Roger Federer. Surely the next one is maybe to take Federer into a tiebreak and even maybe nick a set. So much to play for Murray out here. Superb return of serve from Federer sets up the point. He now will serve for the match. Murray's broken Federer once before in this match. He'll have to do it again to send this into a second set tiebreak.
Patient defending from Murray.
It also has been, Peter, a feature of play. His just willingness to track down every ball on court, make his opponents play difficult shots.
That's big.
Refuses to lose in this match, constantly demanding a little more from himself. And getting a little more from himself.
He's settled into a nice rhythm here, hasn't he?
30-14.
Patient from the back of the court. The first serve to set this point up.
And you'd really expect nothing less in this situation from Commander Roger Federer.
Left.
Backhand error
Advantage, Federer.
takes us to match point.
Thank you. Yes, that's a
And it's
match.
long.
Roger Federer. Federer wins by 2 sets to love. 6-3, 7-5.
And Roger Federer achieves what we expected from him. His 11th tournament victory in 2005, 24th consecutive tournament final victory. But the real man today, Andy Murray, he is going to be around at the top level for a long time to come.
Well, it's taken the greatest player in the game to take on Andy Murray and bring this flying Scotsman down to earth. It's such an impressive performance, and I think we have out here in Murray one of the most exciting young teenagers, not just in tennis, but in world sport.
Roger Federer's dominance in finals continues, 24 in a row now, but a very credible performance from that teenager, Andy Murray. Certainly had Federer worried in that second set. Our coverage of the Masters Series continues, but later on this month, Madrid and Paris, both live on Sky Sports Extra. Marat Safin, a defending champion in both of those tournaments. those Masters events, a prelude to the Masters Cup, which for the first time you can see live and in full from Shanghai, November the 3rd, when our coverage starts again on Sky Sports X of the November the 13th, rather, on Sky Sports X of the world's top 8 players going head to head. Just before the Murray bashers start to have their say, let's try and put this into context of what Andy Murray has done against Roger Federer today. He ran in close in the second set, he got a break back, and remember, Leighton Hewitt has lost his last 9 matches against Roger Federer. Andre Agassi, his last 6. Andy Roddick, his last 9. So he's in good company, and he did have Federer slightly rocked in that second set.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, Chris, expected to see Murray beat Federer, but what I was looking for was when Federer upped his level, could Murray respond? Because to be a Grand Slam champion, you have to have that gear change. It's something that Federer has been able to produce against Agassi in the final of the US Open, against Roddick, the final of Wimbledon, against Hewitt last year in the US Open. And I felt Andy had that in the middle of the second set, and to me, that's the most positive thing to come out of that match, that Andy has that ability to shift gears, and he started to feel a lot more comfortable in the second set, didn't he? You know, the first set, I guess at stages was inevitable what was going to happen. He was slightly overawed, the fact that he's playing Federer, the fact that it was the first final, but he started to settle down, and I think it's been a terrific week. So many positives for Andy to take forward into next year.
He won't be satisfied as well, I think,
Yep.
Barry, with what he's done this week, but in particular in the performance against Federer today. He'll believe that he should maybe have had that second set.
I'm a big believer that when you analyse matches and you analyse weeks, you have to start with the positives. And I think for Andy, he will look at his achievements, first time in the top 100, the fact he's been able to get through to the final. But I think you're right. I think deep down he'll think he's not that good. Now, I'll put that into context. Federer doesn't play great tennis every single point. And certainly for Federer, when he needed to play his best tennis, he did. But at times, Andy was very much in there with him. But what Andy needs to work on is to stay mentally focused every single point, and that will come the more time he's pitched against the top players in the world.
Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll have the trophy presentation. Roger Federer will receive title number 11 of the year in a couple of minutes. The some player, the world's best. Roger Federer is playing title number 11 at the Thailand Open, straight sets victory over 18-year-old Andy Murray, 6-3, 7-5. Federer now extends his winning streak to 31 matches and his 24th consecutive final win. We'll go back shortly for the trophy presentation. Let's get some more thoughts from Barry Cowan, who's here with me in the studio. The positives that Murray can take from this week are numerous.
Yeah, I think the impressive thing for me watching Andy Murray throughout the summer is how quickly he's learned. And to be at the top of your sport, you have to improve. You have to improve almost match by match and almost during the match. And I felt that Andy did that in the quarterfinals against Ginette, against Tsitsipas in the semis, and also against Federer today. I think he started to learn of future matches with Federer, you know, how possibly his game can match up with Federer.
Federer enjoyed the challenge, I think, as well.
That's what Federer wants, doesn't he? He doesn't want to play Newman in the semi-finals of Thailand Open. No offence to Newman, who's a very solid player. But Federer knows he'll win. And I think today, deep down, Federer knew he had the upper hand against Murray, obviously. But you could see his sort of sense of relief at the end. He was tested in the second set, and Federer was certainly drawn upon. He had to sort of change his game slightly in the second set, had to serve and volley, had to come in a little bit more because Murray was starting to really be potent from the back of the court.
Okay, thanks, man, Barry. Let's go straight back to Bangkok and join the trophy presentation. The dignitaries, plenty of them on court. Wonderful week, as we've been saying, for 18-year-old Andy Murray. There'll be more of these moments, but I sense more moments when he'll be receiving the winner's trophy rather than the runners-up trophy. Vijay Amritraj there courtside as well. Mr. Universe with the flowers.
To present flowers to the runner-up, Nangan Chakawan Krap Mob.
And actually glib over Miss Universe, and Murray getting him a little bit of a peck. He's a smart boy.
And now I'd like to invite...
And here's Vijay Amritraj with a few questions.
Managing Director of Thai TV Channel 3 to present the check. คุณประวิตร มาลีนนท์จะมอบเช็ครางวัลให้กับแอนดี้ มารีครับ And finally, I'd like to invite Mr. Chaipak Siliwat to present the silver plaque to Andy Murray.
Andy, remarkable week for you. How do you feel after playing the best player in the world?
Yeah, I feel good. I played a pretty solid match. I maybe could have returned a little bit better in the first set, but it's always going to be tough. It's quite intimidating playing a player like Roger. He's one of the greatest ever. You don't get the chance to see players like him much nowadays, so I was a little bit nervous at the start, but once I got going, I think I did okay.
Well, for 18 years old, you didn't look very nervous out there in your first ATP final.
Yeah, no, I just think I could have started. I was 40-15 after my first service game. I played a few loose points. That might have settled me down a bit, but then once I got my first game, I started playing okay.
You've had a remarkable week, beating Ginepri and, of course, the hometown hero on the way to the final. You've had a remarkable year. What's your plan for the rest of the year?
I'm not sure yet. I'm supposed to be playing a tournament in Mons in Belgium. Starts Tuesday, so I don't think I'll be playing there, but after that I might try and qualify for Paris and Madrid Masters Series and then maybe some of the other ATP tournaments.
Well, a lot of British fans here wanted you to win today, of course. It was a tough battle.
Yeah, no, it's great. The support all week's been very good, and even in my match against Federer yesterday, they were very good. They were appreciating my good play as well as his, so it's been a really good tournament for me, and thanks for everyone for supporting.
And finally, you know, you're the lead story in all the British papers in the UK. How do you feel about that and the pressure there?
Yeah, that's not good. I've watched Herman go through it the last 10 years, and hopefully they'll be a bit nicer to me than they were to him.
Andy Murray, ladies and gentlemen, good luck. Great week, Andy.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Andy Murray. And now, would you please welcome the Thailand Open champion for 2005, Roger Federer. And once again, Miss Universe 2005, Natalie Glebova is presenting some flowers to our winner. I'd like to invite the Minister of Tourism and Sport, Mr. Pracha Malinon, to present the cheque to our winner. I'd also like to ask the Chairman of BEC Terror Entertainment, Mr. Prasan Malinon, to present the silver plaque to our winner. And finally, I would like to invite the Deputy Prime Minister, Tan Sawat Lipatapanlop, to present the trophy. ถ้วยรางวัลชนะเลิศให้กับ Roger Federer ครับ
So, Roger, you're really making a habit of this, aren't you?
No, this is not a habit. This is fantastic, you know. It maybe seems like it, but I'm working hard and sort of staying professional, all week to get through every match. So every time I come through a tournament like this, it's always a fantastic feeling.
Well, it's your 31st straight victory and 24th final in a row. That is an incredible record.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I do have quite a few records on my side, but you know, my career is still far from over, so I just hope to keep it up. You know, if the streaks break, it's not over. You know, I'm still going to keep on playing tennis, so this is fantastic that it keeps up. But I enjoyed it very much. I love the game of tennis, and I hope I can do it still a lot of more years to come.
Your first time against the young Brit, Andy Murray, 18 years of age. He's got a great future ahead of him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was a very tough finals today. I also lost my first finals when I made it to the tour. I lost against a countryman 7-6 in the third, so that was also very hard. Now this time he had #1 in the world, so this is also definitely an experience for him. He'll become a good player, Andy. I'm sure of that. So I wish you all the best.
Your second consecutive win here at the Thailand Open. Your feelings about Thailand and its wonderful people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not only a great holiday place, it's also a great place just to come and visit, to do sports. Anything is great here because people are just so nice. So I can only suggest this to everybody.
And finally, your plan for the rest of the year?
Well, I'll go to the beach in Thailand. I'm #1 already, so. Well, I got tournaments coming. I'm playing, what's the next? Madrid, Basel, my hometown tournament, then Paris and the Masters Cup. Back to Asia, I'm looking forward to that. So, no, it's a busy schedule, but I hope I can finish it off in style.
And you keep your world #1.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's all right already.
Roger, congratulations. Thanks again. The world #1, Roger Federer.
In the sense as well that Federer, mentioning those tournaments, are busy scheduled towards the end of the year, but he'll probably win all those as well and continue his winning streak for the second consecutive year. Federer holds that trophy. The 6th time he's defended a title this year. Andy Murray with his first piece of tour silverware, shall we say. I'll remember this day for a while. Not every day you play your first tour final and face the world #1, who one day I think many people believe will be the best that we've ever seen. Nice moment for Murray, and I'm sure, as he said at the end of his interview there, the British press will treat him quite nicely after this match. He wasn't outplayed really too much. Okay, yes, Federer, straight sets victory, but you know, Murray showed some signs there that he could match Federer stroke for stroke at the back of the court.
Well, I think you have to look at Roger Federer in finals, and he's blitzed players, top players. He's Roddick, Hewitt. And okay, yes, Andy didn't win and didn't get a set, but he pushed him as close as Roddick and Hewitt. And not to say that I'm putting Andy in their bracket at the moment, because I'm not, because Andy's still got a long way to go. But he's made huge strides this week. It's the first time in the top 100. And I really feel that he's going in the right direction and going at the right pace as well, because for me that's the most crucial factor.
Only his 8th tour level appearance as well, tour level tournament. I mean, it has been some improvement since the start of the year when he started at 411.
Well, Peter was talking about it in the commentary about saying that the relative age, they're similar rankings. Federer at 18 was ranked 64 at the end, and Andy at the moment is 68. And I really feel to be the top in your sport, in tennis, you have to improve quickly. And Andy certainly has that in his stride in terms of tennis, but also mentally. He's improving in that department every week. A lot of it, talk has been about his emotions, being maybe showing too much on the court. And I felt that he was much better this week. He was keeping it more in check. Yes, he has improvement to do in that area, but he's 18 and it will come, but it will come slowly but surely. And I really feel that, you know, obviously along with Mark Petchey, at the moment, they'll be very, very pleased with his level of performance and improvement.
Let's finish off by talking about the world's best. Federer now 24 consecutive final wins. I can't see that ever being beaten.
No, he's as Roger's saying, he's setting new records. I think that's what motivates him. He can see the bigger picture. He loves the game of tennis. And it was only a couple of weeks ago when London was awarded the Olympics. You know, I think that's a goal as well, to try and win the Olympics at Wimbledon in 2012. So that's another 7 more years, a few more Grand Slams, no doubt, and trying to eclipse Pete Sampras' 14.
Okay, my thanks to Barry Town for his company today. He'll be part of our commentary team for the 8th of the Masters Series when our coverage gets underway in Madrid, October the 17th on Sky Sports Extra. It's been quite a week for young Andy Murray. In the end, it took the world's best to beat him. Bye for now.